Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel, My Remote Class. I hope you are all fine and doing great. Today I am going to take another session that is on the sexual reproduction in plants, which is under the chapter number 8, How Do Organisms Reproduce. Earlier I covered the asexual reproduction and the link of which you will find in the description box below. So let's start. Chromosomes are vehicles of heredity and they carry the genes from one generation to the next generation. And what are these genes? Genes are the blueprints of our life. And DNA instructs what kinds of proteins to be made. If the DNA gives different instructions, then different proteins will be made, and what will happen? It will change our body design too. So therefore, a basic event in the reproduction is the creation of a DNA copy. Now the creation of two new cells from one involves copying of DNA as well as the cellular apparatus. The process of copying DNA may be similar but not exactly identical to the original. The little difference creates variation. So what is the utility or what is the importance of variation, or why the variation is important? Variation is important because the slight difference between the two individuals in a species helps in coping with the changing environment. Actually, it helps in adaptation. How? For example, in a water body, if the temperature rises, then what happens? The bacteria present inside that water body will not survive, but you will find a few will survive. Who will survive? Those who have a better tolerance level to this temperature change, they will survive. Actually, this variation helps the species to cope up with the changing environment or to the changing adaptation. Now, how does the chromosome number remain constant? Now, another question comes in our mind that during zygote formation, when the male gamete fuses with the female gamete, then what happens? We may consider that the number of chromosomes coming from the male gamete and the number of chromosomes coming from the female gamete actually making the chromosome numbers double in case of the new forming offspring or the zygote, but it doesn't happen actually. Why? That during meiotic cell division, the number of chromosomes in the germ cells reduce to half. That is, they become haploid, that is number n, when the two gametes fuse, the half and half become complete, thus restoring the number of chromosomes in the zygote. Now this is the structure of a typical flower. You know that flower is the reproductive part of flowering plants, and here you can see this is a typical flower having sepals, petals, stamens and pistil. Now here you can see that the stamen consists of two parts, anther and filament, whereas the pistil consists of stigma, style and ovary. Now here in this picture you can see that the flowers may be of two types, unisexual and bisexual. In case of unisexual, what happens? Either the stamen is present or the pistil is present. Here you can see that this is the female reproductive parts, consists of stigma, style and the solen bottom end, that is the ovary in case of female flowers. So if it is present, then we call it unisexual female flower, and if the male part is present, for example the anther and the filament is present, that is the stamen is present, then we also call it a unisexual male flower. So examples of unisexual flowers may be papaya, maybe watermelon, etc. But if both are present, for example if pistils are present as well as stamens are present, then we call it a bisexual plant, for example hibiscus, mustard, etc. Now let's go through the female reproductive part. The solen bottom portion is known as the ovary, which contains the ovule, and the ovule contains the egg cells, and this tube-like structure, this middle part is known as the style, and the terminal part is known as the stigma, is the sticky one, that is the stigma on which the pollen grain gets attached. Now what happens? The anthers produce two male gametes and one tube nucleus, and the ovary contains ovule and the ovule contains eggs. In pollination, the transfer of pollen takes place from anther to the stigma, and the pollination may be of two types: cell pollination and the cross pollination. Now there are differences between cell pollination and the cross pollination. If the transfer of pollen grains take place from anther to the stigma of the same flower or another flower born on the same plant, we call it cell pollination. Whereas in case of cross pollination, it is the transfer of pollen grains from anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower born on a different plant of the same species. Cell pollination doesn't require any external agency. No agents are required, whereas in case of cross pollination, we find that lots of agents are involved. For example, it may be wind, it may be water, it may be insects, it may be birds, etc. Now, in case of cell pollination, both anthers and stigma matures at the same time, whereas in case of cross pollination, the anthers and stigma mature at different times. In case of cell pollination, it can occur even when the flower is closed. In case of cross pollination, it happens when the flower is open. In case of cross pollination, it produces homozygous offsprings, and in case of cross pollination, it produces heterozygous offsprings. And in case of cell pollination, there is no variation is introduced, whereas in case of cross pollination, variations are introduced. Here you can see in this picture, a honeybee is sitting on the anthers, and as a result, what happens, the pollen grains get stuck to the legs of the honeybee, and then this honeybee is again flying to sit on another flower of the same species of a different plant, and there you can see the pollen grains are getting stuck to the stigma of or the pistil of a flower of another plant. So this is a typical diagram showing the cross pollination. Now what happens, the two male gametes start traveling to the ovule present inside the ovary through the pollen tube. So here you can see this is the pollen tube through which the two male gametes and the one tube nucleus are moving inside the ovule through the micropyle, and inside the ovule we find the two synergids at one end with one egg cell in the middle between the two synergid cells, and at the center we find the two polar nuclei, and on the other end we find the three antipodal cells. Now what happens, one male gamete fuses with this egg through syngamy process to form zygote, and another male gamete fuses with this polar nuclei to form a triploid nucleus, that is 3N nucleus. So here we can see that the fertilization is taking place two times. Firstly, one male gamete is fusing with the egg to form the zygote through syngamy process, and in the next step we are finding that another male gamete is fusing with the polar nuclei to form triploid nuclei. So syngamy and triple fusion making double fertilization. So as the fertilization is taking place two times here, so it's a double fertilization. I hope you have understood the topic, and if you have any problem, then do write in the comment section box. I shall definitely reply, and if you like my video, then do like, share and subscribe. Thank you.